So yesterday we got a dev stream for the Edge of Fate, and there will be one next week. We are most likely not going to be able to cover that based on just where I'm going to be at the time. But yeah, this stream was fairly interesting. I do have some complaints, but we'll talk about that at the very end. In general, we got a lot of information, Armor 3.0, some exotics, some stuff with weapons, some new frames and things like that. Gear tiering, which I think is really nice to see. We got to look at the artifact and things like that, and just in general, everything looked fairly good. So with that being said, before we jump into it, just want to say if you enjoy the content and want more from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. So first up, they talked about Kepler. Real quick, I will mention what they said in this one. The location of Kepler was built as a dungeon-like area. So as a collective, I guess you could say we're peeling back of the location. There's going to be some welcome sense of mystery here, something like we saw with the Pale Heart, which I think is really cool. And Matterspark in itself is very much a part of playing on Kepler. And the cool part here is they talked about how Matterspark, at least on Kepler, will be build-centric. You can build things around Matterspark, so that's pretty cool to see. Now, the main juice of the stream, though, was about the Sandbox, which I guess you could say is a little disappointing, but I understand that for spoiler reasons. So, first up, Armor 3.0. The goal here was making armor drops actually something to get excited about, which I can agree. Getting excited for armor in this state of Destiny has been non-existent. So this new revamp for the stats is going to be incredible. They are technically, I guess you could say, renaming, but they're as a whole removing resilience, recovery, and mobility. They're also adding, like we said before, you can go to the max of 200. After 100, you will get buffs specific towards that stat itself. And basically, the goal of that all is to give players more tools to create builds and add roles to players via build. So if we have a melee-centric Guardian, they're going to be really there in the ground, in the ads, doing a bunch of other things. But if we have a weapons-based Guardian, a lot of times they're going to be dealing with a lot of weapon stuff. And as we see in the artifact we'll talk about soon, there's a lot of range going on. So they really want these stats to be give and take, which I think is very good and hopefully improves on the stagnant, I guess you could say, nature of stats we were seeing for a long time in Destiny. And on top of that, fragments that are dealing with some sort of stat changes, whether it's being losing or gaining stats, they will be reworked. Bungie did say these adjustments are a wait and see until they need to tune it further. So if some people are upset about what stats do what and how much it gives, Bungie has left it as an open door to see really what happens. Now, a really good part of this stream, which I liked and was glad they did, was they took time to talk about the exotics. We're basically rounding this up. This is stuff that's been covered before, but again, these are some notes that they said. The Warlock is a Helion-based exotic for some really solid enhancement to the solar aspect itself. To be fair, this looks much better than they described in the description. This generally is not only just awesome looking, it basically shoots out, splits into multiple, and tracks aggressively. It seemingly is going for the furthest targets, and how they describe this exotic is a very ad control exotic to enhance your Helion aspect. It's just really cool. It also looks very cool and matches the exotic with the X and the circle in the middle. Really good stuff here. The Hunter strand-based exotic was one that honestly, I think you hunters are really going to eat really good with this one. It's a strand hunter melee and tangles exotic. The whole goal here is to really enhance that synergy that already is in the game and takes it even further. So basically you can shoot your melee at the tangles, it pulls one towards you, it clones, and then as you see there's a bunch of other nonsense that happens on the tangle you shot. Yeah, this is really good, especially with the grapple melee and stuff like that, and some melee stuff. I feel like hunters are gonna be eating good for that melee stuff, even though they have tweaked some abilities for hunter melee. But yeah, the goal is it's easy to use and it rewards skill at the same time, and it does look that. Now for the Titan exotic, this is a solar based hammer throw exotic. It's very Thor fantasy as they intended it to be. It looks really good. It really gonna have to build into fire splites to really trigger it, but the exotic perk Forge Master is incredible. Hammer throw should be a much better melee, and honestly, I'm curious on what I can do here with prismatic. I'm surely going to be making a prismatic build with this, or trying to. We do have a what if build coming up fairly soon on, I guess you could say, a solar build for this, for you to prep and kind of have ready for when Edge of Fate drops and you get this exotic. But yeah, animation here, it looks really good and I'm really happy with it. Weapons, there's a new weapon itself, this being a crossbow in the heavy slot. This is really intriguing on the fact that this one counts as a bow, and technically, since it shoots arrows, you can pick up the bolt back and theoretically have unlimited ammo as long as you have access to the bolt itself. That is wild and incredible. There's a lot of questions on the viability of this and how juice it's going to be and where you want to use this. I can already see it being a great weapon for champions and things like that in Grandmasters. Of course, this is just speculation, but yeah, this is a really interesting weapon that is a legendary, which is important to mention. Another big shakeup with weapons is going to be ammo meters. It's a fairly big one. It's more so you can see and control ammo drops, and I mean control is based on your performance. You will get a drop guaranteed once that's filled on the next kill. The spread shot hand cannon is another really awesome looking new archetype for the hand cannons. It is a shotgun hand cannon. Basically, it has less range than a sidearm, so just keep that in mind in terms of how far you can shoot this. But as a hand cannon lover, I cannot wait to give this a go. There also is a new archetype for the bow. This is a longbow frame. It's a heavy bow that is basically like monarchy, so it over penetrates and things like that. And the most exciting new weapon, new frame specifically, we are going to be getting is a burst rocket assisted pulse. These things, as they described, are going to be a little more ammo hungry than we see with the rocket assisted sidearm, but in general, the goal here is a sniper type of weapon, which honestly, I like the range and what some of the artifact stuff we'll be talking about fairly soon. Really looking towards it. So with gear tiering, specifically, we're first going to be talking about the armor. The goal here with all of it in general is to allow players to look at a piece of loot or what they have in their inventory and know the total potential. And that includes built-in UI that tells you what armor is possible for your armor tiers. This is great and informative to tell players what they're going to be chasing, which is always welcomed, and crazy it's taken this long for armor to have something like this. With tiers, it basically, the goal here with armor is to give a lot more consistency in understanding what you are chasing and what the value is in that chase. There's also going to be armor archetypes to tell the player, you know, what stats this piece will focus on. And as a whole, I just genuinely love how clear everything here is for the player to understand what is going on, how this works, and what you're chasing in terms of the value of the loot. Weapons. Higher tiers basically just mean more perks and enhanced perks across the board. I did see that there is an enhancement to enhanced perks, which is intriguing. Some of it was clear, some of it wasn't clear. We will definitely cross that road when we get there. Another thing is tier 4 and tier 5, you will get access to the advanced mobs, something we've seen with adept mods or specifically enhanced mods. Tier 5 has a holofoil tied to it and kill effects if you want to kill things and see them die in style, which I think is fine. Curious what players think on that little thing. It's important to mention too that the artifact has a bonus for new gear bonuses for new weapons and armor. The higher tier, the higher the benefit, and you can see that in the artifact. Basically, it's more so of a mid-max buff for higher end players. Also with higher tier stuff, it's just general bragging rights to other players, which I think is always fine. We'll see how things play out in the long run. And if you guys are wondering what is a new gear, because that is going to be a thing that is a verb in the game now, the teal icon means it's a part of the new gear arsenal. Now this also ranges from exotic weapons and armor from previous seasons, and they also mentioned that if Xur's selling a new graviton lance, you might pick it up because that will get the new gear tag and not the old. That type of stuff's intriguing, but I do like exotic armor having new gear stuff to it because it's a nice subtle way of rotating the sandbox even further. We have the artifact that kind of already does that. Doing that with min-maxing stuff with armor pieces and new gear stuff is really, really good. Now, the artifact real quick, the champion mods will definitely be mainly focusing in on a lot more ranged weapons. Kind of goes with the theme here. It is also a very weapons focused artifact, unlike other seasons where there has been a lot of verbiage focus or specific weapon focus. In general, there's just overall weapon focus to everything. So really nice stuff there. Element types, we're getting some love with solar, strand, and stasis specifically. So sure, I love strand, I love stasis, and I love solar. So this should be a fun little sandbox, and there will be a new row added to the artifact, don't worry, but this will happen at the mid-season update, specifically whatever the Lords of an Ash thing is, the one that we're going back to Old Russia or Siva, the Plague Lands, whatever. Yeah, that's when we're going to be seeing a new row. But yeah, that's pretty much what they covered in the stream. The negative part I don't like is the general content you're getting with Edge of Fate. I want that to be highlighted a little bit more. They're really highlighting some awesome changes, but I feel like we're still going in very blind, which of course could be that by design, but I feel like I want to see a little bit more. That little glimpse of the location with the Kepler stuff in the beginning was a tease, not enough for me, but it was informative and things like that. We'll see how things play out in that end. Maybe things change next week, but yeah, that's pretty much the video. This is a long one, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts down below on this stream and maybe some things I might have left out. There was a lot going on. Maybe something I talked about is not mentioned here and you are super excited for it. So curious to hear what you guys have to say on that one. If you want more from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop that content. But until next time, thank you guys for watching. It is greatly appreciated. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.